So good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me on this conversation today around all things AI and how it applies to the fundraising landscape. I'd like to start this conversation with a little story about my mother, this wonderful woman that you see up top. Now, and forgive me, I do get emotional because it's really good stuff, but Mum used to suffer from this condition called Meniere's disease, and for those of you that don't know what that is, it's basically an imbalance of liquid in your inner ear, which gives you vertigo and vomiting and severe headaches. Now, this is a real quality of life challenge for Mum. It really meant that she couldn't drive because at any point she could have these attacks and she could hit the floor and she'd be in bed for days, vomiting and vomiting with severe migraines. Now, we'd had a family doctor for 30 years and he had tried everything and he had done research and called fellow colleagues and really couldn't find a way to improve her quality of life. It turns out our doctor went to a seminar once on the cures for Parkinson's disease. And in an afternote, the professor mentioned, and by the way, we found that in people also suffering from Meniere's disease, this has a very positive effect on their quality of life. And he thought, what the hell, that's Parkinson's. So he went and applied that treatment to my mother. And that's what she looks like today. She's beautiful and she's happy, right? Because she no longer has Meniere's disease, which many people, if you read about it, say it's got no cure, but definitely my mum has been cured. Now, that's a good story, but why is it important? It's important because even though my mum's condition was cured, you know, years and years and years of suffering could have been avoided if there was some way of gathering all that data, all that research, and all that information that was sitting on journals, on notepads, on data entries, everywhere in the world, and correlate it some way to say, hey, by the way, there's actually a possible solution to Meniere's disease. So my name is Gus Quiroga, and I love AI, and I'm going to show you why. That's I think that's Arabic for. That shouldn't be happening, by the way. So that says AI, and what is it? So what is AI? Okay, great. So let's start with this guy. So we all know who that guy is, right? Now, that guy is really smart, and some would say that his intelligence is higher than probably, fair to say, the average person here. There might be one or two geniuses out there, okay. But he had a really augmented intelligence. So he had an ability to see patterns that other people wouldn't see. And I don't know if it's a fable, if it's true, but the way he came up with relativity was he was watching a man painting on a roof with a bucket. And he was thinking, if there was a hole in the bucket, gravity would draw that liquid to the floor. But what if he fell off the roof with the bucket? The bucket would stop pouring because it was no longer falling relative to the man. So, whang, relativity. Now that's just a crazy pattern that with his brain he could see, right? So it's an example of augmented intelligence, being able to see patterns and data where we don't see them ordinarily. Now this next person, anybody recognize this person? You said? You do? Marie Curie, there it is. Now, another great example of augmented intelligence. Now, here's something amazing. Marie Curie was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, but there's even one better. She was the only person to win it twice. So, is she intelligent beyond the average person? Absolutely. Again, her ability to see and detect patterns beyond what the average person could see is what distinguished her amongst our colleagues, her peers, and amongst society. Now, contrast, if you will, this is what I would call artificial intelligence. So, and it's an important distinction. It's an important distinction. He is able to achieve, but because there's a lot of smart people around him making him, and still, I guess he still doesn't look quite that intelligent, but that's artificial intelligence. So why do I draw these comparisons? Because I do want to indulge here for a minute and get you to understand what I mean by AI first before we get into how it impacts your day in the life. So as humans, we're really great. We've got billions of synaptic connections, and we're really, really great at doing abstract, at doing dreaming, at having a conscience, of having moral thought, at being creative. But computers are really, really good at processing large amounts of data, doing it very fast, and detecting patterns that we don't see. Very much like Marie Curie and very much like Albert Einstein could see patterns that we couldn't see. But the average person doesn't have that type of cognitive ability. So when we are able to marry the human condition of ideation, morality, and creativity with processing capacity, then what we get is augmented intelligence. And this is really what I want you to think about, is how do we augment your ability to drive higher impact of your social cause? So let's talk about that. Before I do, I want to harp down on the point. So what does AI do? AI looks at lots and lots of data, and it tries to find patterns in data that we can't ordinarily see because we're not all superhumans, okay? So therefore, when we talk about the application of AI in your organizations, in your day-to-day life, we're really talking about AI in 3 dimensions. First of all, we look for this data. And what we're saying here is that we know that what's changed in the recent decades is that we've got massive amounts of data, and that data is a rich source of information which is fueling the digital transformation of organisations. So data is really important when we're talking about AI, and we'll see why. Secondly, AI itself, all it's really doing is allowing us, as I said, to sift through all that data and unlock value, see things that we don't see. So, unlock value. And then you drive applications to take that data and do something with it, to operationalize an action. So this is the trifecta. When you're looking at projects to transform the way you do your fundraising, to the way you impact your social cause, you're looking for data, you're looking for AI to sift through that data and unlock value, and then you're looking for an application to allow you to operationalize that. Okay? Right. So, again, something in Arabic, which I don't know what it is, but I'm going to say from memory that this is talking about, let's look at how AI then impacts your social cause. So we're going to take an outward view, and then we're going to take an inward view in terms of your day-to-day business and how you run your organisations. So first of all, the outward view. So many of you represent, all of you represent different social causes. So let's talk at a few of those social causes and how AI is shaping that, and therefore how you should be thinking about how you can have a greater impact through the application or through the practices of AI. A great example is precision agriculture. So there was a project run by the Weather Channel to deploy something like 300,000 micro weather stations. What these things do is they capture everything from temperature, wind speed, soil conditions, air quality, etc. So these just become all data points. But then the real exciting part about that is that they're bringing those together to really then inform farmers about what is the right time to harvest, what is the right time to plant, what should they plant. At a micro level, how much water exactly should they use? What type of nutrients are required? What is the life cycle of that crop or that land, so that you can get very precise and improve your yields at very low cost. Clearly an important aspect of helping underdeveloped nations come out of poverty through technology. Now, that's precision agriculture, but there's other things that are emerging which are pretty exciting and immediate. Again, Arabic for this, what this says here is this is the digital tongue and the digital nose. So what is that? So these are really exciting innovations in the area of AI, where we're able to dip a sensor into a moist environment or wet environment, and it can detect what is in that particular environment. So obviously think about the applications around fraud prevention in food, food quality, water quality, and so on and so forth. And the digital nose in terms of being able to pick up microparticles in the air and then determine what is that odour coming from. Again, there are some commercial applications like, is this coffee and is it a good coffee and what defines that as a good coffee? But think about our climate conditions and pollution and developing the ideal environments for crop growth and crop development. So I bring these up because when we talk about precision agriculture, we're really talking about how we can help improve the quality of life of people in impoverished countries. And so these sorts of things then allow you to take it from a farm to a commercialisation and achieve things such as ecological sustainable development. I really apologise for this, I don't know how that happened. In the middle, it's really about fraud prevention. And think about it, it's the idea that if you are selling a bean of coffee from an organically grown cooperative in Latin America, how do we know that that is actually that bean of coffee and not someone that has relabeled it? Okay? So AI and technologies such as IoT and blockchain brought together are allowing these sorts of business models to develop. And yes, there is a commercial cause for it, but think of also the social good implications of the applications of these technologies. Transportation efficiencies, food provenance and logistics management. But more importantly, let's think about your cause and how you use it. So think about how you could bring this data and share data to help farmers build their micro farms and focus on specific crops, either to feed their communities or to sell commercially. Think about what it would mean for your donors if you could drive a level of transparency where you could tell them exactly where their dollar of contribution is